A Handybook focusing on Wolfman. What is this world coming to? This is the Wolfman Handybook from 2004. And I like looking at these and charting the very gradual improvements they made to the formats between 2004 and 2006. They did these themed handybooks to begin with, and they weren't great. Although this one is decent enough. It is one of the better ones in some regards. One of those regards isn't the cover. Abysmal Sally LaRue shit here. Does anyone like this cover? Is there anyone out there who I can engage in an actual discussion with about this artwork where they can try to tell me that the perspective isn't whack or that Wolfman's pose is in any way logical? Here are our credits for the editors who are writing all of this, as well as a credit for our awful cover artists. We open with a Wolfman entry, and I don't know how I feel about breaking the alphabetical ordering to put the main character up front. I understand it, but I don't like deviating from sequence. This Wolfman entry is good though. This is 10 pages long, and I think it is the first example of the in-depth handybook profiles that will become the standard. We still have problems with incorporation of images, and some of them being very unnecessary, irrelevant, or random. Very long profile though. 10 pages is a bit much, but I understand that Wolfman is a character who would have that much to cover. I should probably check, but I reckon this will have been cut down to maybe 8 pages by the time they do the A to Z's. Another picture that doesn't really serve much purpose. It doesn't link into what is being summarised. At most, it shows Wolfman's hand-to-hand combat skills, but that isn't something these pages particularly cover. Another agonising, perspectiveless perspective piece by Sally LaRue here. We'll see a lot more of him. I guess we are still in the days of the powers grid not being worked out, because there is no fucking way Wolfman's durability is only a 4. Now we are on to more exciting things, like Top Gun, who had been redesigned to be a G.I. Joe action figure. This picture here they have of Top Gun, I am very confident in saying that isn't actually Top Gun. That is Driveshaft, who carried on Top Gun's legacy after Top Gun was made into G.I. Joe. Alpha Strike, and this entry sucks because it is so truncated and it only lists the current roster, which was actually never the roster. This is before Marvel decided there were 3 different Nemesises though. What do people make of Bloodstream? I don't think he's that bad. Decent Wolfman bad guy. Wolfman does have his unfairly solid bad guys. Cypher, I don't know what it is, but there is always something appealing about Cypher. I don't know if it is the simplicity of his design or something else, but he is appealing. Dead Pills over here, and we get a 3-page entry for him. I don't like Dead Pills much. Mega Drive and Lady Shiva. Fictional Country Time. There were some flavours of the month in here. Gervais was set up as a big bad by Nepo Ire Frankenterrier, and he went nowhere. Nobody touched him again. Another of his baddies was Mr. Egg, and Mr. Egg did go on to appear in Thunderballs comics. So we have got a nice example of back-to-back creations by Jose Quesada's friend from college, and one of those creations had some signs of life afterwards. Can't get more flavour of the month than this Greg Ruckus one though. I saved it for this page to mention, but we still have severe problems with art selection. The choice for profile art is overall weak, and even the insert art is a mix of random or bad. There's a few characters in this with their main profile illustration sourced directly from the 90s trading cards, and it doesn't work for this in my opinion. Two of the more exciting prospects in a Wolfman Handybook, Smegma Red and then the Ravers. I think what might be the worst bullying I have ever seen is to have a Mark Stanley Lee image of the Ravers, a great piece of art. I would still say not ideal for a profile, but a great bit of artwork in the issue it's from. And then on the next page, Sally LaRue's attempt at art featuring the Ravers. I know I have never made a video explaining all the problems with Sally LaRue's art, but it's something I've felt for like 20 years now. I am fed up of having to think of all the things wrong with it. I know it is probably frustrating to not have me really point out what is wrong with everything he does, but I honestly think he is so bad that most of you can recognise the problems yourselves. Never liked how they spelt this character's name. Also, they have credited the wrong Buscema for the art. Who do they think they are? The Sons of Nimrod? Saberclaw, a character that is more interesting than Wolfman, and he only gets 3 pages. They don't show that much of his costumes. I've said before, but I always preferred his original design to the more familiar Jimmy Lee 90s one. Over here is Deja Forrest from the John Carter movie. Emma Frosty's sister, wasn't she? In the movie, I mean, the Bad Wolfman movie. That woman and January Jones, not a bad threesome. More trading card art for Silly Samurai, who barely gets a profile here. There is something wrong with the Japanese underworld when one of its leaders looks at Wolfman and thinks to himself, that guy has a real rockin' hairdo. If there is one ball you don't want to drop when I am around, it's the Madame Hydra's ball, and they dropped it here. Terrible picture choice. It is from one of the 90s trading cards, and the problem is that it looks nothing like her. I could tell you this is fetish fuel from the Excellent Men, and you would believe me. It looks more like her than Madame Hydra's. Weapon cross entry, and it incorporates both versions of Weapon Cross. They split them up for the A to Z's if I remember. Supporting characters, both Asians. I could have told you that picture of Madame Hydra's was either of these, and you would have believed that over the idea that it was Madame Hydra's. In fact, that looks more like Madame Hydra's than Madame Hydra's picture does. They stopped doing these. It is like an issue index. It tells you what issues are being referenced, or which issues are important to each character profiled. List of characters profiled on the reverse, and looking at it now, it doesn't seem like many. I guess that 10-page Wolfman entry really stopped us from getting a profile for Darkwind or Phantomas or Albert and LCD. I think this is about what you would expect from a Wolfman Handybook in 2004. As with most of these that I have looked at, there are things I can single out and say they have improved upon. The main thing that it will take them far too long to resolve is the pictures. Not until about 2009 and 2010 that they get them right. I found myself quite liking a lot of characters in this. What about you? Who was your favourite? I like Saberclaw, I like Cypher, I like Smegma Red, and I like the Ravers. Madam Hydra's would be my favourite because she whips me and wants me to dress like that cool monster man from Pulp Fiction. I'll give this S&M thumbs up.